Mr. Winfrey, would you come to the front of the room?
Ready to go?
We're ready to go. 2 minutes behind.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And I hope the weather holds off for us to get out of here without endangering ourselves. They're still promising, as far as I know, some very bad weather. So anyway, without further ado, this is our last and third and final community meeting, or town hall, I guess we call it. And it's designed, we've done these specifically to address the budget. And I know there's a great concern about batteries and so forth and so on, but this particular forum is for our budget. And so let me introduce our interim county administrator, chief administrator, and I want to take this opportunity to thank him for stepping in on an interim basis and filling the slot while we, Board of Supervisors, search for a new county administrator. And that process is going well. We've got 32 or more applicants for the position, and we were very pleased with the number of applicants, and we are going through the process of weeding them out and narrowing them down and so forth. So, Mr. Manuel Alvarez, take it over. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. So as Tom said, this is our third and final town hall of the spring session. And our goal is to kind of show you where we're proposing to spend our money over the next year. Let's see if I can make this thing work. Before I go, I'd like to also introduce to you Mr. Spoonhauer, who is the District 2 supervisor, Mr. Jonathan Lyle, who is the District 5 supervisor. We have a few employees here. I'd like to thank them because they do a lot of work to get us to this point. But if I start naming them, I'll forget one, and then I'll be in trouble the rest of my career as interim. So anyway, so this is our third and last town hall meeting. We'll skip that. And so let's look back between 2018 and now, where our budget has grown. And you can see that's a pretty steep chart. The majority of our growth has been in public safety, which is what the citizens have asked us to focus on. But of course, as the county has grown, our growth between 2018 and 2023, our population growth was about 14%, and we're the second highest in the state. Only New Kent has outgrown us. This chart, I wanted to use this chart to show you our tax rate is the thicker blue line. We've been very good at kind of keeping it steady, and I think that shows in our 3 AAA ratings. We've kind of kept the county running smoothly. It doesn't mean that taxes haven't increased, because over the years we've had assessment increases that raise the taxes, but as a growing county, we've reinvested that money on what I consider important things. So here's the proposed budget. So the board approves goes through the process every year of reviewing the assessments, and then with the forecast of the money we're going to receive, set budget priorities. They gather feedback from citizens. This is not the only way we gather feedback. And then at the end of it all, they approve the tax rates, the Tuckahoe Creek Service District ad valorem rate, and the budget and other related items, including fees for services. So again, the budget is consistent with its strategic plan. We take a conservative approach to revenue and expenditures, so that most of the years, at the end of the year, we have a little bit of a surplus that we can then invest in capital projects for the following year. We seek efficiencies whenever possible. We expand public safety levels As I said, we've done that every year since I've been on the board or as county administrator. We have to maintain employee compensation. We have a very rich county to our east and another one to our south, and we can't match them percent for percent, but we try to keep it so that our employees feel happy here in Goochland. And we obviously, as we grow, we have to support or increase the size of our organization in certain areas. And we do have a self-sustaining rate for utilities. So when you see this budget, utilities is included, but they work out of their own funds for fees and connection fees and so on. So how do we gather information? We listen to citizens. The process really started in early October. I wasn't here then, but I've done it before in other years. Then the administrator meets with all the county departments. Constitutional officers, we have to talk to the sheriff and fire and rescue to assess their needs. We meet with the schools and talk about their needs. And pretty much all the other departments. We also talk about capital improvement needs that they have. So it's not just about operational needs, but capital improvement needs, buildings, cars, trucks. And then the administrator meets with the board to finalize the priorities. So these are the funds that we look at that we can use for our expenses. General property taxes is the biggest bucket. Other local taxes, state aid. We don't get a lot of state aid, but we still use some. Federal aid, and then charges for services and fees, and grants. There are some grants that we use, especially the schools. What else do we look at? Obviously, the impact of inflation, any potential recession, so we have to prepare, and we usually manage. We have policies on establishing some reserves. The continued desire from the community for increased public safety. General Assembly legislation, a lot of times we get surprised at the last minute by the General Assembly approving something that impacts us. A lot of times they give us mandates without funding, so we have to prepare for that. We have a growing community and an aging population, so that it increases costs for service, especially, for fire and rescue especially. Public education funding from the Commonwealth, as I mentioned, we don't get a lot for when the Commonwealth says we want the counties to spend this much, or we're going to give you a 6% raise. We get 20% of that. We're one of the only 2 counties, I think, 5 now, that are at the 0.8 level, which means that we only get 20% of any funding the state provides. So we basically fund our schools out of our own taxes. Typically, every year we have increasing health insurance costs. This year, that changed, so we're actually flat, so that was great news for us. And as I mentioned before, we need to maintain competitive salaries so that we can hold on to our employees. I know this is very hard to read, and somebody just told me yesterday that you should never have a slide that people can't read. But I'll tell you a little bit. So the first bucket up there is the general property taxes, and they increased by 12% this year. Some of that is from reassessments. A lot of that is also from new construction. There's other local taxes, they're down, or we're budgeting that they're going to be down. State revenue, we're predicting that to be up a little bit. But this is what we have. So we establish these revenue estimates, and then we work from there. Assessed values, as I mentioned, overall, we're up by 11.4%, and that includes new construction. Here's how we spend the money. So as I mentioned to you before, we show revenues as a lower estimate. we estimate expenditures to be a little bit higher, so that in the end, we end up with a balanced budget or a balanced end of year budget. So the majority of our money obviously goes to general government. Public safety gets about $21 million. The schools get about $43 million. So about half of our revenues go to schools. Our general fund, again, is up about 9.6% in our proposed budget. Special revenue funds are 5%. Utilities funds are up 29%. School funds are up 5.2%. And CIP funds, this is the money that's going towards buildings, is down 23% because we don't have any big projects like we did last year. And this is going to be impossible for me to read. At the last town hall meeting, I said, I added this up and forgot the number, but it's actually on the top of the slide, if you can read it. This is about $6 million in capital improvement plan for this upcoming year. Some of that is going to fire and rescue, new equipment. Oh. I don't want to turn my back to. So fire and rescue is about $2.5 million. They have some new respiratory equipment that they need to buy. Information services, we have some project updates, system updates that we need to do. The schools is 1.7 million, and a big chunk of that goes to a new chiller for the high school, which is now 21 years old. And then some emergency technology that we need to upgrade as well. The 5-year plan is about 79 million. So we also have to look at this. So we're not just thinking of what's coming up this year or the next year, but we look out 5 years, and we have a 25-year capital improvement plan that we have to consult regularly to see what's coming up. Some of the things on the plan this year, emergency technology, we have a new recording system for 911. Again, I mentioned the chiller for the school, fire and rescue, cardiac and respiratory equipment. We need a new generator for the Fire and Rescue Administration, and some projects for information technology. And as I said, it's about $6 million. So in summary, and I didn't mention this before, we're including in this year's budget a 3% cost of living increase for all employees, county and school. Public safety remains a priority for us, and we're adding 5 new deputies and 6 new firefighters. Education, we're increasing that budget by about 6%, and we're doing all this without increasing the real estate or the Tuckahoe Creek tax rate or the personal property tax rate. Our schedule, we already know, we had a work session with the schools on March 11 to discuss their needs. Then we had the town hall meetings. Today is our last one. And then on April 1st, in this room, we will be presenting the budget proposal, and we'll do that in 3 separate hearings. And Carla Cave, who's our finance director hiding in the back, she'll be presenting, and we'll have a hearing for each item. And then on the 15th, we adopt the budget. So if you see anything, come on the 1st to speak during the hearing, and then you can come back. You can contact your board representative or me if you have any suggestions for changes. But on the 15th is just the final vote. So the board will have the hearings on April 1st, but no action until the 15th. And that's next week, by the way. So community updates, I'll tell you a little bit, and I'm going to ask Sarah Worley, who's our Economic Development Director, to come up and tell you a little bit about the projects we have going on. We actually had a study that started when I was interim 3 years ago, and it's actually almost finished now. It's a new interchange, a proposed interchange on Route 288 at the, where the notch is in West Creek. The study is almost complete, not the project, but the study. That would really alleviate some of the traffic on Broad Street over by the Wawa. We have Project Rocky is going to create a lot of traffic on Ashland Road. And so we have a project that's going to create a dual or divergent diamond. How many of you have been to Zion's Crossroads? Few? So they have one of these there. And basically for part of the diamond, as you come into it, you actually drive on the opposite lane. So you're actually going against the traffic. It's all managed by traffic lights, so there's no issue. But that's what's going to happen on Ashland Road over the interstate. So they're going to add a new bridge over the interstate. We're doing Hockett Road. If you get off at Rockville and you want to come down to Hockett Road, you have to make a right on 250 and make a left by the Sunset Grill. The plan is to connect from Broad Street all the way to Hockett Road, and that's this slide there. And then there's a park and ride on Ashland Road just north of 64. We're going to move that to south of 64 just so that we have enough space to do the dual diamond or the diamond interchange. In this area, if you ever come on 64 westbound in the evening when the people are getting home, the traffic at the Oilville exit can back up all the way to the rest area. I nearly rear-ended somebody, but I was able to get out of the way a few years ago. So we're adding a roundabout or the right of that interchange to make sure the traffic keeps moving. How many of you like roundabouts? So when we did the roundabout here at 522 and Fairgrounds Road, we had a lot of pushback. But since then, I've heard nothing but good comments, because if you were using it before and you came there and there was a school bus or something in front of you trying to make a left turn onto 522, it was nearly impossible. And the roundabout has made it a lot easier. And no accidents, as far as I know. No accidents. So the other thing we're going to do there is we're going to extend Fairgrounds Road all the way down to Route 6. And that'll open up some area in that red circle. Will open up some area for development, commercial development. Another thing that I want to remind you of, and Neil Spoonhauer is our representative on the Central Virginia Taxing Authority. When you buy gas in Goochland, there's a tax on that gas. How many? 7 cents that comes right back to us. So I remember the first year that I was on the board, there's a bridge that goes from Goochland across to Elk Island. It's a narrow one-lane bridge with no railings, a little scary, but it got washed out one year and it cost over $100,000 to repair it. And our VDOT budget for the year was $80,000. So we had to scramble to find, or VDOT scrambled to find money to repair the bridge. But I think over the last, since 2020, we have received $9.2 million. And that's what enables us to do things like the Diamond Interchange and a lot of other projects around the area. This is probably not important to most of you, but we had to replace our force main, and this is in the east end of the county. There's a neighborhood there called Huguenot Hills, and we're running water and sewer to that, and it's almost completed. And then we are working on a public utilities master plan. Again, that impacts mostly the area in the east end of the county, but it also includes the courthouse area. I don't know if, do you guys want to know about the water issue that started in the city? If you do, I'll call a friend. So the city, as you might have heard, had an issue with water flooding the sewer plant, which kind of mixed drinking water with not drinking water. And it took a while for the city to let the Henrico County know that water in our east end, in the east end of our county, we buy from Henrico. So first a delay in the city to Henrico. The Henrico didn't think there was any issue with their water because they shut off the valves to the city, but eventually I think the health department told them, you need to boil. So then they told us, and so it was a bit of an effort, but we created a website to let our citizens know if there were any issues with the water and what to do. We provided over 850 cases of water to citizens in the East End so they wouldn't have to boil their drinking water. Broadband, who wants to know about broadband? Where's Paul? Paul, coming up, and I'll let you cover this. This slide, and I know it's hard to see, hard for me to see, but go ahead. I'll let Paul tell you. I've been disconnected for a little bit.
Good evening. My name's Paul Drumright, Community Affairs Manager for the county, and happy to give a update on broadband. And I'm going to use a cool tool. So right now, we have a project. We've had two different projects. We had one with Port 80 Internet that did a portion of the Crozier area, and then we have a ongoing project with Firefly Fiber Broadband to extend out fiber to the western end and portions of the Crozier area as well, broadband. In another slide, I'll show you another project that we have going on with them right now. But so our project with Firefly is ongoing. They are wrapping up fiber on this map. So this map is back from the beginning of March, and these areas have changed. So the blue that you can see in here says in service. These areas right here where it says mainline splicing, this area is actually now in the part of they're starting to make connections, as well as all this area up here, as well as this reconnect area. So there's a lot more connections that are going to be happening over the coming months as they move these areas. And so these areas are the 3 Square area, the Tabscott area, the Caledonia area, as well as then the reconnect area. They've all moved into connections are ongoing right now. So they've had town hall meetings for those areas, and they are going to begin drops to each home. It will take them a couple months, as I said, to go through that process. And as they do a drop, then they will come back and do connections to that house. They are on track to finish right now those areas in aiming to finish everything by the end of the year. The other areas that would be of interest are the Crozier area, as well as then out towards the Riddles Bridge. And so the Crozier area is down here, right there. And then the Riddles Bridge is right here, this green part right in there. And then this pink area. So they are moving towards those areas next. Dominion has finished up all their work. They're finishing up splicing in the last pink area there. And then Firefly will be doing they're doing engineering right now and will be moving into doing drop construction for those areas. So it is happening. We appreciate the patience. They are working as fast as they can to get all those done. Moving on to the next one. So this kind of will show you, once all this is done, all this in blue will be connected. And this other area already has a large majority of service through Comcast, but each of these red dots is a new location through a grant that we just got last year. So back in July of 2024 was awarded, and they're going to start work on that in the beginning of 2026. They got to finish up the grants that they have to do by the end of 2025, and then they're going to move into the next area. And so what is important is everybody who wants service to make sure you register with Firefly at their website, because they will then extend a connection to folks who are registered. You don't have to get a connection, but they are going to offer it to everybody in those areas that were on the previous map. And you can get it later, so there will be it along the street if you choose not to get it right away. But I would recommend getting it right away, because they will waive the $100 connection fee if you do it when they're in the area. And I'm happy to talk and answer any questions on this after the meeting.
Thank you, Paul. So a lot of those red dots, there were a lot of people that were in Comcast coverage area, but they were too far from the road, so Comcast would not connect them without paying a lot of money. I was one of those. So, but I want to tell you, when I ran for office, I promised broadband for everyone, and 14 years later, it's now happening. I meet my promises. So Sarah, if you wouldn't mind coming up, these are some of the new businesses in the county. And I'll tell you, I went to Richmond Gastroenterology the other day to help me with my heartburn problem, and they were terrific. So I can, and of course, the heartburn was probably caused by Dunkin' Donuts. So both of those I've taken
Thank you.
advantage of.
For those that don't know me, my name is Sarah Worley. I'm the Economic Development Director here at Goochland County. And if you go back a couple slides, what Mr. Alvarez was talking about, the revenue that's coming into the county that supports our budget, a lot of that tax revenue is based off a commercial tax base. And the work that I do to attract new businesses and make sure our existing businesses are retained in the county helps to expand that commercial tax base, which takes the tax burden off of the residents. So a couple of the new businesses that have recently come into the county, we have a new medical that is a primary care physician's office, and here in the courthouse area. So they took down the spot that used to be the dialysis, so behind Bella Cecilia on the bottom floor there. Bandits Ridge Winery. Bandits Ridge was a existing event venue, and now they've opened up a new winery there. Neurosurgical Associations and Richmond Gastroenterology, they are down towards the east end of the county off of Wilkes Ridge Parkway and some of those medical buildings. Yellow Club is in Centerville. It is a racket sport, so think tennis and pickleball and all those fun things. And then Youthful Beginnings is a esthetician and waxing service here in the courthouse area.
That's where I'm going next.
So we have some good information here, and then happy to announce what we are calling the Rockville Opportunity Corridor, or ROC. This is the Ashland Road corridor, and we recognize that a lot of things are happening along that corridor, and we want to make sure that we're keeping the citizens and businesses informed of everything going on, including some of the road closures or transportation things that'll be happening in that area. So we've created a website, goochlandva.us/ROC. You can go there, you can get information on the projects and timelines and associated transportation improvements that are happening along that corridor. Speaking of which, we do have a couple new industrial buildings that are coming on Ashland Road, one being Axial Rockville 64. These are two buildings. They total 335,000 square feet of distribution for new businesses that can come in, or for existing businesses to have space to expand into. Project Rocky, again, on the Ashland Road corridor, multi-story e-commerce fulfillment center. They hope to be operational in 2026. If you've been by the site, you will see that they are fast underway. And they are providing temporary interchange improvements to help during their construction. There's going to be a temporary light at the interchange, and they're adding an additional ramp lane to help move some of that traffic through. Two other new kind of smaller units that are available for some of our smaller businesses. We have one out at Midpoint Industrial that's under construction now, and then the I-64 Industrial Park that is located at the Oilville interchange. These are kind of smaller lot, small contractor. So if you think we have a lot of businesses that work out of their home now, and they've just gotten too big, and so they need some of these smaller spaces to move into as they grow in Goochland County. HG Meats, now I don't know if you guys are familiar with this project, but it is a small local USDA regulated facility that allows Goochland farmers to take their meats to be processed and then picked up, and then they can resell their product. However they do, some of that's online, some of them take it to farmers markets. So HG Meats will not be open for individual retail sales, but they do support the farming community here in Goochland County. And it is currently under construction and hopes to be open in the next 3 to 6 months. Our capital investment over the last several years have been fairly stable. We did see a great kind of increase in 2021 that was due to some pent-up demand that happened during COVID. And then we've kind of leveled off and then hope to see some other great capital investment in 2025 come through. Explore Goochland Tourism website. We also handle tourism in our department, and if you have not been on this website, it's a great opportunity to check out some of the really cool things happening in Goochland County. So that's exploregoochland.com, or you can check out the Goochland's Guide to Food, Beverage, and Fun. That's a listing of all of our restaurants, all of our craft beverage makers, all of our historical sites, parks, all the fun things that you can do in Goochland County. And while you're at it, you can sign up for Open Rewards in conjunction with the Economic Development Authority. This is a program where you can sign up at certain Goochland restaurants and shops. If you shop there, you get a percentage back, 5% back, that you can use to shop at other local Goochland businesses. And then lastly, wrapping up, May is going to be Goochland's Appreciation Month. This will be our 3rd year in doing it, and we like to take the whole month to celebrate Goochland businesses, and we're going to have an event at Kindred Spirit Brewing to show businesses appreciation. They're going to come and network, and then we're hosting a Goochland Business Center open house on May 16th, so if you have any questions about what we do, feel free to stop by that day, and we'll be available to talk to learn more. And I will be available after the presentation for any questions.
Thank you, Sarah. Sarah's been doing a great job. So some of the events that are coming up now, most of you have heard of Goochland Day, and that's going to be on May 16th. There's going to be a concert at the field over here. And then on May 17th is the parade and the festival after the parade. Parks and Recreation is currently working on a master plan, and they've already had a couple of community meetings. And what they're trying to do is figure out what the citizens want and how much do we already have and what do we need going forward. We expect to complete it by the fall of 2025. Tom Cock is our Parks and Recreation Director. He's sitting over there on the side. I would recommend, if you get the survey, we're going to send out a survey to selected folks throughout the county. If you get it, please respond. We have a lot of upcoming events. I probably won't go through all of these, but there's an extreme egg stream event coming up for Easter, and then there's a concert series at Tucker Park, what we call Night at Tucker. There are several groups coming. The first one is the Slate River Band, and Exit 38, Permanent Vacation. That sounds like a good band to listen to. Anyway, if you got one of our printouts, check it out. Those are really great events at Tucker Park. We also have upcoming a recycling event. We do this every year here at the Fairgrounds area. I don't know if anybody remembers where the Fairgrounds building was, or if you're new to the county, you might not know. It's right there at 522 and Fairgrounds Road in that empty lot. And we will collect paper, boxes of paper, as well as some chemicals, fluorescent bulbs, and so on. So some opportunities for serving the county is obviously provide feedback. You've heard this presentation. We kind of moved through it fairly quick. Provide feedback. You can submit interest to serve on boards or commissions. We have lots of boards or commissions that help us make decisions in the county. You can obviously offer to volunteer through departments of interest. Serve a not-for-profit organization. I'm on two boards now, Goochland Cares and Historical Society. You can obviously do that as well. Come to meetings, town hall meetings. This is actually a pretty well-attended meeting for our district. We had maybe a slightly bigger crowd in the East End, but we don't always get participation, and you shouldn't get complacent. Come to the meetings and listen. The same for the board meetings. Participate in the county-sponsored events, like the events at Tucker Park. Donate time, expertise, or financial resources to some of our nonprofits. Vote. And if you feel that you want to handle people like you, run for office. And then these are some ways to stay connected. You can download the Goochland County app. Goochland at a glance, I know, gives you weekly updates on what's going on in the county. You can sign up on our website for alerts and notifications. And all those things are gonna keep you connected, and they will not bombard you with bad information. The sheriff has a really good page now, or app that you can download to your phone, and it tells you if there's a road closed or an accident or other announcements, and it's really a good working website, or app for your phone. And then Code Red. How many of you are not on Code Red? So if you download Code Red and you sign up with Code Red, any emergency announcements that we make will notify you. When we did the event last week or the week before, the tornado drill, every phone in my house rang because I got them all connected. But the water issue in the east end of the county, we immediately sent out a notification through Code Red. So if you don't have it, download it. You can do it from our website. There's a link there to do it. And you'll get any emergency alerts, tornado, water outage, and so on. One of the other things that we're doing, and those of you who live in District 2 or not so much 3, but District 2, we have a new fire station that's going to be built. You've probably seen it on Whitehall Road, right at Sandy Hook Road. We bought that property a couple years ago, and it's going to be our next fire station. That design, I liked it a lot, so the chief didn't want to commit to it, so he made me put potential design on there. So otherwise, I was considering final. But I think it's going to be great for us. We already have an ambulance at that location, and it's already run a lot of great, important calls. I know they've rescued several people in my neighborhood, which is not far from there. So this will be Goochland County Sandy Hook Fire Station, or Company 8. So by this fall, we'll be reviewing the bids for that. So the fire department received an award from the governor for fire emergency services, excellence in Virginia fire protection. And I was there this morning. They do now, in this building, they can do fire training with real fire, but it's not, it used to be that you just took a building and burned it and people went in and tried to put it out. That created a lot of hazards for our firefighters because you didn't know what was burning. This is gas fires, and they're controlled by the trainers, and it's excellent. If you have an opportunity to go by there, take a look at it. They had an open house back when it opened. but it really works great, and it helps us train our firefighters with real fire instead of, I think they used to have some televised, they have, this also provides smoke, so it's basically theatrical smoke, so that they can sense what the environment might be like. The animal shelter continues to do great things, and I've done this presentation now 3 times, and we've had to have a new dog each time because they're getting adopted. So we've had, over the last year, we had 2,369 calls for service, 574 adoptions, and the save rate is 96.6%, which the only animals that don't come out of there alive is because they're very sick or very dangerous. Again, for engagement, we're trying to remind you to stay engaged. The Board of Supervisors meetings are the first Tuesday of the month, and the times are set, sometimes they vary from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, depending on how much we have on the agenda, and then the evening meeting, it's at 6 or 7, but we announce it at least a week in advance. If you sign up for notifications, you can sign up to receive the agenda for the upcoming meeting in email, and then you can check the time. So with that, if you don't mind, I'd like to hold questions till the end of the school's presentation. So take notes. You also should have did we do the survey? So okay. So we have a survey out there, fill it out, let us know what you think of the town hall meetings or any other issues you might have. Meredith Moses, the chair of the school board, is going to kick off the school presentation. So Meredith,
Thank you.
here's the,
Okay. What I want is the special tool. The pointer. Is that this?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Ah, that one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't tell me about that. Okay, anyway, I am Meredith Moses. I'm the chair of the school board. Dr. Cromartie can't be here today, so I'm going to cover for him. Let me get these slides going. Okay, this is he came up with the budget, and we approved it, of course. Okay, so our core, I'm going to do the first part, and then Ms. Allen is going to come up and do the number stuff. So our core values, you've probably heard of the ECHO Awards. They're ECCHO, Excellence, Creativity, Courage, Honor, and Optimism. And those are our core values. We have core goals. Okay. They are to maximize each student's academic potential, to maximize resources for instruction, and to improve the climate of our organization. Now, the way that we do this is through our vision. Okay. We want to inspire the next generation to make a positive impact. Okay. We also have a mission. In order to do that, we want to maximize the potential of every learner. Now, the way that we do this is we have good instructors. We have good staff. We have, we have excellent instructors, excellent staff, and we care, okay? But it takes money, so therefore we need a budget, okay, which is what Ms. Allen's going to talk about. Okay, but we do, okay, going back a couple of slides. Okay, to maximize each student's academic potential, we don't just want them to get a diploma. We want them to learn. We want them to know stuff. We want them to be able to get a job, okay? And Ms. Allen's going to talk a little bit about CTE, so we have that instead of just the academics. We also have CTE, and it's a great thing, especially for here. If you want a good job, go into CTE, and you can have a job that, I'm sorry, I'm taking your thing. The Monday after graduation, you can have a really, really good job. Okay. Okay. This is one of our classrooms. Sorry. All right. I'm a chemist by trade, so I can tell you it's not a chemistry lab. It must be a bio lab. If it was a chemistry lab, there would be stuff everywhere. You wouldn't have food in there, you wouldn't have drinks, and there would be crust all over the place. Okay. Another thing I would like to notice on this is the, is this what I want? No, go back. That. The VT. Okay. What worries me is that there isn't a Virginia flag there. Okay. Now, when I said that the other day, I got some booze. And, well, I thought I got booze. Then I realized, no, they were just agreeing with me, saying, whose? Work with me here. Okay, thank you, sir. All right, let me keep going. Okay, your enrollment. Okay, these are some bar slides. They're hard. They're sort of hard to read. They do go from, well, okay, it's the 5 different schools, and they go from 2020 to 2020-21 to 2024-25. Now, the first 3 are the elementary schools. The 4th one is the middle, okay, because I know it's very hard to see that, and the 5th one is the high school. Now, you'll look at the one in the middle, which is the second one, which is Goochland Elementary School, and you'll see that this year we have quite an increase in enrollment, okay? It's not that much of an increase in enrollment, but what we did was we opened up the new Goochland Elementary School, and because of that, we were able to take students from, do it this way, Randolph Elementary and Byrd Elementary and put them into Goochland Elementary. So we have a big spike here for this year, but we do have a decrease in Randolph and a decrease in Byrd. Okay, so we really haven't, we just moved them around some. Okay. As far as the enrollment's concerned, the overall enrollment, it's somewhat steady. Okay, in 2020 to 21, it was 2582. 21 to 22, it was 2596 students. 2022 to 23, 2643. Then we had a 71 number decrease to 2023-24, but then we had a 71 student increase in 2024 to 25. Okay, so it's pretty much steady. It's not too up and down. This year, however, it's the COVID year. It's the COVID babies. Okay, there were babies born during, well, COVID year, and they're all going to be about 4 or 5 years old now. So they're coming to school. So we don't really know exactly how many kindergartners we're going to have, but it's going to be somewhat different. Okay, we should get a spike in that. Okay. Some of our successes. Okay, we are, in fact, an Apple Distinguished School System. All right. Now, the Apple Distinguished School, let me read it from here. They're centers of leadership and educational excellence that demonstrates Apple's vision for learning with technology. And we believe that they're some of the most innovative schools in the world. They inspire, they imagine, and there's impact. Okay. There are 457 Apple Distinguished Schools in the U.S. and 115,171 K-12 schools in the U.S. I would have thought there were more, but yeah, okay. There are 979 K-12 ADS or Apple Distinguished Schools worldwide. Okay, we are one of the 18 Apple Distinguished Districts. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. Now, that doesn't just mean that we buy Apples, you know, Apple technology, iPads, Chromebooks, whatever. We do, I'm sorry, Macs, sorry, Chromebooks, Macs, all right. You actually have to do something with them. You have to innovate, you have to inspire, or you have to have an impact. Okay. As far as how we are seen by parents and students, the niche scores were number 12 of 130 of the best, of the 130 best school districts in Virginia, we're number 12. Not bad. As far as Special Olympics, we have the Unified Champion Schools. I don't know if you've ever gone to one of the unified competitions, but these kids just, they play their hearts out. Okay. We also have a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. This is the, what year is it? How many? Yeah, there's been a lot of them. Ms. Weish? Okay. Well, anyhow, our budget people do a great job. All right, accreditation. We are one of 10 school divisions in Virginia with 100% of our schools fully accredited for more than 10 consecutive years. That's good. SOL tests. Some people like SOLs, some people don't. But we have good results there. In reading English and in math, if you look at our pass rates, for reading and English, it's 82%, and for math, it's 83%. That makes, out of the regional area, we are first in reading and English, that's 10 different districts, and second in math. State rank with 14th and 8th in those two categories. That's great, we're doing wonderful, not quite good enough, it's 82 and 83%. As my mother once said, what happened to the other 17%? No. So we're working on it, and that's going to require some additional resources. As far as value is concerned, we are pretty good about the money. Sorry, got one more. The value. Okay. In reading in English in the state, reading in English in the state, we are 14th, but we're 72nd in the state as far as the money. Okay, so we're nowhere near one of the most expensive systems in the school, in the state. Our graduation rate. One more. Okay, I know you can't see it up here. This is 24. We had a 90, I can't see it either. We had a 98% graduation rate, on-time graduation rate. That doesn't, that's a 4-year, okay? Doesn't mean that 2% did not graduate, it just means that 2% did not graduate in the requisite 4 years. Some of them may have taken 5 years, or some of them may have had to go to summer school. But we do get those kids out in 4 years-ish. Okay. Miss Allen.
Thank you, Ms. Moses. Good evening. I'm Angela Allen. I am the representative for District 3, for those of you who haven't had an opportunity to meet yet. And sorry, Dr. Camardi couldn't be with us this evening, so I'll do my best to cover the budget presentation for you. I want to begin by acknowledging the support we receive from our supervisors. Mr. Alvarez covered the fact that the schools are benefiting from a 6% year-over-year budget allocation increase, and we're very grateful for that because, as Ms. Moses alluded to, we're in the people business, and it takes significant dollars to hire talented professionals to educate children, and these challenges are ever increasing. So let's work through it. We're going to unpack the 3 strategic goals that the school division has and talk about the dollars that are tied to those. First one, to maximize the student potential, to prepare them for a successful life. Ms. Moses talked about this earlier. We want to measure growth, and we want to make sure we're meeting students where they are. One thing you'll quickly learn about education, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and every child has unique needs. So we need to be prepared to support those. Also, we don't just want them to walk across the stage and then turn their tassel. We want them ready for college, military service, career and vocational training, or straight to the workforce, whatever is best for their needs. So providing options is important. So in strategic goal area 1, and I'm going to talk very briefly about the numbers, but there's some optics here at play that I don't want it to deceive you. Goal area 1 is the most important, but it will look like we're allocating the least amount of money to it. Please do not be misled about that. It has to do with changes related to the ACA tuition, and you can see that kind of took $315,000, again, perceivably away from this goal. It's just changing about how those monies are paid to the local community colleges to support our associate's degree program for students who pursue that as part of their curriculum. You can also see we did some creative problem solving. You can't just keep piling on every year. You've got to solve problems in new and unique ways. And one of those was transferring a current employee to create an assistant principalship role at the new Goochland Elementary School. The reason that's so important, as Ms. Moses showed you, the growth that school has experienced. It's now on par from a student population point of view with almost our middle school. So when you think about supporting professional development, making sure administration goes smoothly, and meeting parents and students where they are, really can't fall to the shoulders of just one principal. We need an assistant principal to come alongside Ms. McKay for that. We also have increased needs in English as a second language, and that, again, we have a current part-time employee. We're moving that employee to full-time, and I'm excited, based on student interest and community support. Where is he? He's not here. Our EMT program, we're able to continue to provide that as part of our CTE offerings. All right, let's look at strategic goal area number 2, to create an engaging and responsive experience where everyone feels informed, included, valued, and empowered. And so this is really talking about how we meet people where they are. And one of the things that we talk with potential hires about has to do with the culture in our school division. Small class sizes, a great deal of autonomy, and really giving our professionals the room to grow and to contribute. So how does that show up in terms of dollars? 3%. Nothing says I value you more than making sure you are well compensated for the work that you do day in and day out. Now that may seem trivial, but I don't know about you, when I have to buy eggs, that 3% can really make a difference. And so this is being awarded to all employees for the school division, as Mr. Alvarez spoke to earlier. In a little more detail, beyond the cost of that 3%, by the way, is $995,000 and change, because we are the largest department for the county in terms of the number of employees we have. We also had some savings we were able to realize with changes in some positions and also known retirements. So that helps offset some of that cost. And then we had some additional stipends to allocate for teachers that were doing work above and beyond their current role, particularly related to what's called an IEP for meeting students' needs in additional ways outside of their typical classroom responsibilities. And then you can see here, of course, other staff cost. I called out before that, the $95,000 for strategic goal 1 was going to be misleading, because now you're seeing a $713,000 number for goal 2. But remember, that's very top heavy with that 3% raise. All right, let's look at goal 3. To enhance and support the instructional and learning needs of all students and staff. So this is going to involve our facilities, operations, technology, instructional materials, and the like. We want to make sure that we're providing up-to-date resources and making those available to our teaching professionals. So here's what that breaks down to in terms of budget priorities. Some of it is just have-to-dos. Higher utility cost. Some of it is really opportunistic when we look at the fact that $247,000 to replace some of our vehicles. That comes out of our CIP budget, but oftentimes the budget cycles have to have an impact on when those monies are allocated. So the last thing I want to call out here also has to do with the restoring the fiscal year 25 technology contracts. I mentioned, I'm going to say it for a third time, this is going to feel lopsided. That $270,000 was making the school budget whole from a previous year where the Board of Supervisors stepped up and supported the school board in allocating a 5% market increase for all of our teaching professionals last year. We deferred the technology contracts, and now we're coming back around and bringing those in our budget. So we're really not spending $746,000 in the operational component in truth for this year. It's a little lopsided based on carryover from the previous year. Okay. Spend, spend, spend. How about save, save, save? We really challenged our administration team to find cost savings opportunities, and they have done a good job with this. You can see totaling more than $662,000 of savings of your money. It's not our money, it's taxpayer money, and we need to be good stewards of it, and I'm excited about the different things that they have taken the savings to be realized here, and look forward to continuing to look at all of our spending through a very judicial and prudent lens. Okay, let's break all this data down into some fun high categories. We talked about the different goals. We talked about the strategic abandonment. The net investment is $892,000. These slides are a little outdated because just last week our supervisors advised that they will allocate an additional $300,000 to support some of our unfunded priorities. And again, we are grateful for that support. When you put it on a pie chart, it's probably a little easier to consume, but you can see that more than 77% of the school budget is allocated towards instruction and technology that goes right to learning goals. That's a good thing and something that we'll continue to push on to make sure that we're keeping it in the classroom for the benefit of the students. We're in the what business? The people business. 84% of our budget is allocated for salary and benefits of our employees. And like the county, we are on the shared health insurance plan. We did not experience a premium increase year over year, so we're thankful for that. Where do we get the money? We've heard a lot about the fact that really Goochland pays to educate Goochland students. And so let's break down, without going into a full General Assembly local composite index lesson, I'll just tell you that school funding has several components. One of those components has to do with average daily membership from how the state appropriates funding. And when we reported most recently, our number was 2,520 students. And then you have the LCI, which Mr. Alvarez talked about, was a 0.8. That means that for every dollar, the state's only giving us 20 cents. So that means 80 cents of every dollar has to come out of the local pocket, which is challenging when there are unfunded mandates coming from the General Assembly every year. And so when we look at that in a graphical format, you can see here that the county is more than 70% of the school's budget. The county, AKA the Goochland citizens and businesses and fee revenue and all of the things for those of us who live and work here. A much smaller portion has to come from various state grants, and then we also benefit from state sales taxes. Like the supervisors, we take a conservative approach to budgeting because it's very difficult to accurately predict how much consumers are going to spend and therefore how much you will expect to receive from the sales tax. So we say 97.5% of that, and then if we get the additional 2.5%, that's a windfall for us. And I want to call out, there's a really small sliver in there, federal grants. Those were things that we saw in much higher percentages in the years coming out of the pandemic. Those are fewer and fewer, and many times because we are not an economically need-based community, we are considered affluent and wealthy. Thank you for the triple credit bond ratings. We may not always qualify for some of those programs. And then we do charge a little bit of rent and a little bit of tuition for out-of-county students. So there you have it. As Mr. Alvarez says, just like the supervisors, we must present a balanced budget. And so we looked at our changes on the expenses side, and we had to match it to the revenue side so that we can get a budget adopted. This shows that the school budget grew by 2%. If we put that extra 3% in, or $300,000 in there, it's closer to 2.7%, but who's counting? So that's Dr. Cromartie's budget presentation. When Mr. Alvarez is ready, we're happy to answer any questions you may have about it. Yeah, happy to do
Any
that too.
questions for the school board or me or the board of supervisors? Oh, we have a question here.
On the matter of risk, the sheriff's office tallies all accidents and traffic incidents, and the tie this year for the worst intersections were Broad Street Road 288 and Fairgrounds Maidens. And didn't see any update on the Fairgrounds Maidens roundabout or any other work that's been going on. Do you have any update on that?
Great question. Next question.
And don't use it the fact you haven't been there long.
No, I've known that intersection for a while. I didn't have the slide on that, and I'm not sure. You don't know. Neil?
Yeah.
Neil knows.
Yeah, thanks. Neil Spenhauer. Great question, Mr. Sloan. We just found out 2 months ago that Goochland was awarded primarily monies through a SMART scale program to fund that roundabout. So we should be getting, assuming the staff is given their proposal for the SMART scale, which is every 2 years we can apply for money for projects. And this one was actually the highest rated in the region based on safety needs, costs, et cetera. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. So once we get the funding, then it'll go into the schedule, so we'll be able to get that built.
So, yes, ma'am.
I know that the time has passed to complain about your real estate assessment, but I feel the need to come here because my assessments have gone up double digits for the last several years, and it is a backdoor tax increase. You guys keep the tax rate low, but you jack up people's assessments to get more money, and you said it earlier in your presentation.
Well, what I said was that we haven't adjusted our tax rate down to make up for the higher assessment. The board of supervisors nor the county administrator have anything to do with the assessment.
Understand, but I
So-
feel the need to come here and say my piece. I'm not happy. I cannot sell my house for what you guys are assessing it for.
I think you'd be surprised.
Well, I'll let you know.
Are you selling?
Yes.
Oh, you are?
So staying in Goochland,
Oh.
don't get excited.
Oh, darn. No. Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the things that I found interesting, and it's a great question. As a matter of fact, when we were in GLE together, I think, 5 years ago, I think you had the same question. What I've learned is that by state code, our assessor has to look at all of the sales that have occurred within the previous year. And they have to look to see how those sales compare to what the houses were assessed at. And we are at 97.5%, meaning we assess 2.5% less than those houses actually sold for. So we have to do that every single year to make sure that we are in line, and we have been. And it's been, every year we look at this budget and we're trying to figure out the real estate assessments, and we keep saying they can't continue to keep going up, but they are continuing to keep going up.
And if you come tomorrow to the meeting, you'll notice that our tax rate, in order to stay even with last year, would have been 49 cents per hundred. I know that doesn't make you feel better, but the needs that we have this year, we are barely meeting them with the current tax rate. Part of that is the growth in the county, but the higher cost for everything we buy. So, did you have a
You
comment?
just said what I was getting ready to
Oh,
say. The
darn.
costs are exploding. You know, our fire and rescue, for instance, over the last, I believe, 3 years, maybe 4, but I think 3, the budget for that is doubled. It's just, you know, a fire engine 2 years ago would cost $800,000, and that's
And a half.
2.5 million.
And waiting 5 or 6 years.
And you know, we're giving raises every year to the employees. You noticed on this, so the costs have gone up, revenue's gone up, tax rates stay the same. But we've used that
Jennifer?
to meet the growth in the costs.
I appreciate that. It's just that, when you compare to other counties, I don't know what code it is that says, does it say that you have to be able to sell your house within a certain percentage point of the other houses? But if you go over to Cumberland, for instance, their rate might be higher, so when you look at your nice graph, it looks like we've got a real great deal. But if you look at their assessments, they're way below what they could sell their house for in our surrounding counties. There's no
Yeah, and I'm not
comparison.
sure how Cumberland does theirs. A lot of counties surrounding us do their assessments every couple of years, and they hire a contractor to come in and do it.
Yeah, but they're so far below market value.
Yeah. 5 years? Every
But
5 years,
even
so.
back then, it
the-
was way below market value.
Yeah, the problem for some of those localities is that when they reassess, it's huge. And I know a few years ago when I was
It's not,
intern,
though. It's
well-
not. It's consistently way below market value if you look at those surrounding.
when I was intern the last time in 21, there was a lawsuit in Cumberland because of people seeing their tax rates go sky high. Maybe it's not all homes, but it was a big increase because they hadn't done it in 5 years. So I don't.
You know, the thing there, if we were to, we would have to increase the rate because the cost of government has gone up. So
Right,
if
but I
we
guess what
were
I'm
at a
saying
percentage,
is we see that it's this kind of game of making it look like the rate is very low when the assessed value is very high.
Yeah.
So you get the money that you need no matter what, but it's kind of false to say that it's.
Yeah.
well, you know, here's the deal. It's not just assessed values. The true value of our real estate in Goochland County has increased significantly.
And
The
we
true
do, like I
value.
said, we do not have anything to do with the assessor. We cannot tell her how to do or how to change her process. So it's just, yes,
Can I help you out here a little bit?
you can if you are willing.
My name's Don Kaufman. I have a significant background in real estate. I'm retired now, but I was a general certified appraiser for 30 years. Some of the information that's being conveyed back and forth is not accurate.
Which part?
I need to clarify. Well, the assessments are going up dramatically. You're correct. The ratios that Mr. Spoonflower is talking about are just statistical ratios. They don't really measure
No, it's gonna be different. We're gonna go more,
We're still gonna get a
Yeah.
presentation.
yes.
But see, me as a resident and taxpayer, I don't really have an opportunity to work with the government
Right,
to make this a more efficient process. Tomorrow, I'll have 6 minutes because my wife's gonna give me her 3 minutes. I'll have 6 minutes to present my argument. And I'm gonna actually give you some options to lower the tax rate.
Okay.
Whether you do it or not, it's up to you, but there are options available to you. So yeah, I'm empathetic to, our taxes have gone up significantly over the last 10 years.
yeah.
I understand that the cost for living in Gucci County has also go up, things are more expensive. However, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. You know, there's ways to become more efficient
Yeah,
regarding government.
I'd love to hear it, and hopefully
Oh, yeah.
you'll,
We thank you.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, I don't wanna jump into the situation, but, I don't know that our assessor is actually not looking at these houses, are they? I mean, nobody
They-
comes to my house to assess my house. I have 24/7 surveillance on it, and no strange cars.
We have ghosts that come in, and,
Yeah,
no, we,
but, maybe they are, maybe they're not.
Yeah.
I know the condition of one house over the other and all is pretty hard. My guess is that they're evaluating, here's a house. it's
Based
been
on
together
data.
20 years,
it's,
and
yeah,
we're just guessing that it's in equal shape to the neighbor's house.
yeah. I don't remember right now what percentage of houses they visit. They visit quite a few,
I've been there since 1980.
yeah,
My mother's house next to me has been there since 1947. She pays more money in taxes per year than her house costs. And I have far exceeded what I pay for my house in taxes. I understand that, but I'm retired now. My income is fixed. I get the same amount of money all the time. I've had a 20% increase in insurance, which you can't do anything about this year, and I had a 20% increase in the value of my home this year. So, I'm glad my house is worth more. If I was selling it, it'd be fantastic. But, these are things I think we have to look at as a community to make sense. Does it make sense for my 97-year-old mother to have to take money out of her bank account, pay her taxes for the year? She doesn't qualify for tax relief. I'm gonna go any further on that.
I appreciate it. I think we hear that from a lot of people.
It's an interesting environment when you're talking about dramatically increased cost of government.
And I can tell you, I know that we had, when I first came in this time, Mr. Carpenter had presented the budget with, he had left $1.4 million unallocated. And so my job and Carla's was to go through that, meet with the board, meet with the departments, and try to figure out where to allocate it. The fire and rescue wanted 12 people this year and 12 next year. We have 2 fire stations coming, Fire Company 7 in the East End and Company 8 in Sandy Hook. We have to staff them. It takes, depending on what number you see, is either 4 or 5 people per shift. So he wanted to bring in 12, take them through the training work, but with the money that I had, we were able to add 6, and then hopefully another 6 next year. But the needs, the school, when we met with them on the 11th, and we went through their wish list, they had over $1 million in unfunded wishes or needs that we couldn't fill. So we ended up coming up with $300,000 from the 1.4 million. We divided it 6 for fire and rescue. We added, well, the state in other ways said, you must increase the pay of all your dispatchers by 6%. They give us 2 cents of that. So we had to do that as well. And in doing all of that, we came down to where we could. The sheriff actually gave up 2 cars so that we could have enough to give the schools $300,000. So it's not an easy solution. I mean, it's a lot of work to just kind of do it with the money we have. So Yes, Todd.
I'm sorry. This gentleman asked a really good question, and I really don't think it was answered. So the assessment portfolio, which is $9 billion plus, that is the most critical component for the county for raising revenue. If that portfolio is not managed properly and it's not accurate, then your revenue stream is not going to be accurate. I mean, this is literally the most critical part of government raising revenues. Now, I'm going to answer his question because I've researched this area. The assessor's office is not doing regular inspections. I've done sample studies of the assessment portfolio. It's not accurate. The data in the system is not being maintained properly. It's an issue I've raised several times since 2022. IAAO, the International Association of Assessing Officers, has standards. And if you're a licensed appraiser, which our assessor is, she's a general certified appraiser, you have to adhere to those standards or else you lose your license. But these are standards that are set for the United States and beyond. It says in those standards that a physical inspection, meaning that the property needs to be measured and the data has to be properly collected, it needs to occur at least every 4 years. I can guarantee to you that's not occurring. It also says that a physical drive-by needs to be conducted minimally annually. That's not happening either. So the point is if the data that's in the system that's producing the assessed value is not correct, then it's impossible for the assessed value to be correct. Some of them are going to be too high, some of them are going to be too low. If they're too low, the county's losing revenue. They're not collecting characteristics from those properties. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of properties that are way too low.
You and I are going to have to talk a little bit more about this too, because I do think we need to investigate some of your concerns.
I think you bring up a very good point.
You said the assessor doesn't report to the board of supervisors. The assessor reports to the county administrator. We don't have a county administrator right now. Man, you're doing a great job, and I love you. You do a great job. And I
He is.
appreciate the name. You know, I'm not trying to put any heat on you right now. I'm trying to help the
Yeah.
county by some of the recommendations I'm making, but unfortunately, nobody's listening. I sent the board members, all of them, an email on March 21st raising these issues and inviting each board member to speak with me individually about these issues we're discussing right now. Only one board member responded. And now we're getting into a critical arena of the budget's got to be set by April 15th. We're out of time. You're out of time. And this is why people are saying maybe next year. Well, really, not next year.
Yeah.
It needs to occur now.
I know coming in when I came in, and it doesn't really matter. From March 21st to now, it's too hard to change it this year. If we have to change, go out and do all the inspections, but I promise you that we will look and see what we're doing and how often we're doing it, and going forward.
Yep. And it's not going to happen between then, the 15th of April. This is a long-term fix. This is systemic. And I think what you're bringing up is inequities, potential inequities. If we are undercharging some folks, it could be that we're overcharging others. So there's the inequity on it. You know, I think we need to have faith in our system. So we will pay attention to that, I promise you.
One other thing is, as Sarah mentioned, we're working really hard, and a lot of people think that we're trying to attract neighborhoods. We're not. The only thing that Sarah goes after is businesses. So our goal, we're right now, 80% of our revenues comes from real estate prices. What we would like to do is have maybe closer to a 70-30, so that we're getting more revenue from businesses than from the home, because it puts a load on the citizens. But
Okay, any more questions? Yes.
My name's Bob Harris. I'm assistant coach at wrestling coach at Gibson High School. And that's parent here with my young dog youth club this year. This is Owen. I have Ella here, that first year wrestler, and she first year wrestler. She came fourth in the state this year. We've been
Congratulations.
speaking to a lot of people about
Mhm.
And it worked out wonderful. You know, high schools, I've been assistant coach for 5 years. Coach Walker has been, head coach for 5 years. And I think we made a really big improvement in sport. You know, more importantly, I think we're making a big impact on the students we coach as far as mentors, just being community people. And you know, our practice facility is like the football field. Guys having to practice on a half the field all the time. With an asphalt team with a half court, you just cannot do what we need to do safely with facilities we have. So we're appreciative of being able to use the cafeteria, and hopefully we have our fingers crossed. Maybe we can still have the old elementary place as a safe, great place to practice. So I know in the grand scheme of things with the county, we're very small. It's, most of the students aren't right. I realize it's a very small part. To us, it's huge. And Ella, I don't know if she would say something about that, but she's not.
You can come to the microphone, Ella.
We have a lot of, a lot of young athletes that have become part of our program, and it's community with all volunteer coaches with every sport. That's what makes Goochland who they are. We're new as far as the youth wrestling, but hopefully in the years to come, we'll be even bigger and be just a continuing part of the community. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Have you
for what
been,
you do.
have you been working with Tom with Parks and Recreation?
It's been, unfortunately, I know there's a grand plan, and so we don't have the answers I guess I'd like to have right this moment. We're being patient, and we appreciate it most.
As a parent, I'll say it has been fabulous, like having this job and really opening up this new program. All of our boys left with first, second, or third degree medals, so that's huge. Bringing that back to Goochland instead of going to Lothian or Richmond, big clubs that probably meet 4 or 5 nights a week. They did big things in their first year. So
Great.
we really would love to be able to use that. I don't know, and I haven't been involved in these conversations, but I do know that there's a model in Nelson County. When they built their new school, they used their old elementary school as a community center, but they open up different classrooms for businesses. They have a coffee shop, they have a little restaurant in there, and so it still gave back funds for the county to continue to use that, and you can still use that space. So just food for thought.
Thank you.
Well, we just kicked off a space study last week, and we're going to look at, we're busting out of this building, especially community development. They're cramped in there, they're in the hallways. So we just started a study to see what we can do. I saw your wrestling mat at the elementary school, and I thought that was great that we're still using it. Any issues with it? I know some of the heating and stuff is not working right.
Besides the heating, you sit in the air.
Okay. Okay, well, I don't know how it's gonna be in the summer. It might be too hot.
Okay, we've got a tornado coming, so go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all, if you've never been to one of your matches, you really need to experience, because it's not just the individual sport, but these gentlemen, the way they bring those students together, even the other teams come and join, the way that they lift every one of those children up. And when you're lifting children up there, you're also lifting them up in their academics and how they approach other people. That self-respect
Absolutely.
bleeds over into respect for others. So whatever we can do to continue to work towards protecting
Is that a code red?
sport is
I thought it was, but
also, Manny mentioned a survey that was going out to select people. Let's not do that. Let's make sure every person gets it. We're also
I
still
think
sitting
eventually
on our-
that'll happen.
Yeah.
We're still sitting on our 2018 strategic plan. If you had a more current plan, some of these other things could be better understood, because you would truly have a better understanding of your community and your needs. So I hope that you will work on that county-wide strategic plan. The school maintains theirs, keeps it up to date, and that helps them to provide what is needed for our students.
Very well, good point, thank you. Well,
And I just got I thought it was code red, but it was a tree down on Hazelfield 5. I don't know if,
wasn't code blue.
if the wind's picking up. Yes,
If nobody's got any other, I'll back to risk again, and I'm gonna bring up the BESS, the battery energy storage system. I think there was a misunderstanding about the concept of the risk associated with this,
Mhm.
and the concept that it's just in the wrong location and should be moved to one of the M1, M2 areas within the county. That's not the issue. The issue is the fact that there's no probabilistic risk assessment on this type of facility at 400 megawatts. That's the problem. And until that's resolved, I think it's inappropriate. You go to the Electric Power Research Institute database and look at all the accidents that have occurred, even the most recent ones. The only one that's, I'll say above 400 is the one out at Moss Landing. It's still burning. So I think that's something you need to consider
yeah.
when this
Well,
comes before.
and let me clarify something because I don't know that I've ever gotten more letters in opposition to anything as we have over the Melrose, proposed Melrose. We have a pre-application. The county has seen very little of what's proposed. So there's been no community meeting other than a road meeting that they had. I don't know if you attended that meeting. Yeah, that's what I figured.
it's like ready,
So-
fire, aim, no application
Yeah,
has
there's
been
no
filed.
application yet.
And-
So we are working to kind of push it out and learn more about it. Hopefully get it to a different place, if nothing else.
But there's a process. You know, if you had an application, you would want that process. In other words, you don't want us to opine on that, particularly if we say no on your application. You haven't even filed it yet. You see what I'm saying? So the citizens, everyone has an opportunity to go through it, and we need to get that done.
And I completely
You know,
concur with
we're listening, you know, to everyone's. I mean, we're getting 6 and 8 emails a day and several phone calls
least.
a day. So we're hearing it.
I think it'll be a while probably before we get the application, but while we didn't go after that business, Sarah has been kind of following up to make sure that it fits our needs and lower the risk. Well, I know you would prefer a little small nuclear reactor there.
Absolutely.
We might get some opposition to that.
And we can
too.
glow
So,
in
you
the
know,
dark and they can,
I don't want to cut it. I mean,
Yeah.
forgive me, but I do want to acknowledge the staff that helped bring this. As Manny said, this started last fall. It's a process too. And you know, quite honestly, I'm impressed with what you all do, what the staff does. It's very meticulous, and to get us to this point. The other thing, these ladies over here, they picked up. Dr. Cromartie is sick. He prepared all this. He gave the first presentation, which was District 1, and I think on the second one, y'all probably knew about it the afternoon of the event, of our second town hall, and they stepped in and did it, and then here again, they're stepping up, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Manny, for everything, too.
thank you. Any other questions or comments, feedback? If you scan that barcode on the screen, you can, you'll be able to get to our survey and tell us more about what you thought of the town hall, or I think there's some open questions in there. So you can tell us what you think of everything, including our assessments. So, okay. Thank you all. Appreciate it.